Hello everyone. Normally, I'd be making episodes of my video game playthroughs, but today, I thought I'd try something different. I'll be narrating a short story that I wrote myself, and maybe, hopefully, this is something I could do more of going forward. That's it. It's time to get into the story, and I hope you enjoy. Along an empty corridor of a high school on the outskirts of town, a young woman checked her watch as she strolled towards an open door. Just on time. A mere glance at the door and into the room beyond it evoked strong memories for her. The sign on the door may have changed. The decor may have changed. The students, naturally, have changed. But the aura of the classroom was still the same. It was in this very classroom that she spent her years in high school. And today, it would be her first day as a teacher. A part-time substitute teacher, but a teacher nonetheless. As she stepped into the classroom, the idle chatter that had been filling the air dissipated into a still silence. The teacher smiled as she glanced around the room, acknowledging the attention of the 30 or so students. As quickly as the chatter turned to the silence, did that silence then break out into hushed woes and whispers. She faintly made out some murmurings between students. One mentioned how attractive she looked, especially her smile. Another one brought attention to her deep red hair. Among the students, some of the girls swooned in admiration. A few others looked like they were eager to learn all her beauty secrets, while some of the boys seemed either too shy or perhaps intimidated to make eye contact with her. "Good morning, everyone," the teacher addressed the room. "I'm Miss Echo, and I'll be your substitute teacher this week." "Good morning, Miss Echo," the class replied with ringing enthusiasm. With the brief introduction, and thereafter the class period's lecture out of the way, Echo sat at her desk while the students did their own revisions and group discussions. Seeing this reminded Echo of the days when she'd be tutoring her classmates regularly. Just then, a little ping came from her phone. It was a text message. "Just wanted to say, good luck on your first day as a teacher," the message read. Immediately, Echo's lips curled into a smile. But it wasn't just any smile. If her usual one was warm, this one was warmer. If her usual one was natural, this one was more natural, if that were possible. This did not look like the type of smile shared between friends. No. This had the hallmarks of a woman in love. The radiance in her eyes as they lit up upon reading the message sparkled like light off morning dew. It wasn't so much the message itself that made her shine so, but who it was from. And the students, being an intelligent bunch, didn't need long to start deducing or probing. "Miss Echo, are you married?" one female student asked. "Eh?" Echo replied, taken aback by the sudden and direct nature of the question. A quick look around the students indicated that the question had gripped everyone's attention and anticipation. Echo wasn't one to brag about what she had, but given how the entire class seemed to be primed for an answer that didn't really need hiding anyway, she might as well tell them. Very happily, Echo replied with a sheepish smile and a nod. "Too bad, boys. She's taken," came the immediate reply from the girl who had asked the question initially, directing a joking sneer towards some of the boys. Within seconds, various conversations broke out among the groups. Some wondered if they'd look this pretty when they have a special someone. Some teased each other about the emotional ramifications of discovering Echo's marital status. while others playfully offered their availability as potential rebounds. Echo sat back in her seat as she typed out a reply to the message. It was nice to see the camaraderie among the students, to see them all get along well. It was energetic, but not rowdy. Noisy, but not cacophonous. Seeing it all took her back to her own time as a student, remembering what her classmates were like. After the bell rang to signal the end of the class, and after the students very reluctantly said goodbye with audible agony, Echo left the classroom and took a leisurely stroll along the corridor. She had plenty of free time now, and there was another place she wanted to visit. At another section of the school building was where most of the clubrooms were. Many of them were in active use, while some hadn't been in use for some time and had become makeshift storage spaces. Echo's stroll down the corridor led her to one such unused room. As she walked in, vivid images resurfaced in her memory. It was in this room where she spent many afternoons with her gardening club mates. It was in this room where she said goodbye to them when they graduated, leaving her as the club's last member. Above all, it was in this room where she met him for the first time. She could envision herself in her mind's eye. There she was, at the door, spotting a young man she'd never met before, standing across the room, looking out the window. She still remembered the look in his eyes. They looked troubled. They looked lost. A chance meeting that also became the start of a very special journey. Echo's delicate fingers brushed the top of the table in the middle of the room as she walked around it. She could feel the moments in time inscribed within the table and chairs. All the days when she'd sit at this table, drinking tea with that young man, studying together, hanging out together, the first hug they shared. As Echo returned from her reverie, a sudden thought came over her. She quickly pulled out her phone and took a picture of the windows at the far side of the room. She sent the picture as a message along with the question, "Remember this place?" Within seconds, the reply came. "Of course, where we first met," along with a flower emoji. That radiant glow filled Echo's eyes once again as she typed out a simple reply. An emoji of a heart and one more of a kiss. The troubled young man she met that day introduced himself as Wilfred. These days, and for the past few years in fact, she was more accustomed to calling him darling. As the final bell rang out to signify the end of the day, Echo was standing by herself in the front courtyard, eyes closed, taking slow, deep breaths. From out here, the school looked exactly as it did when she was a student. The main school building, the student dormitories, the front courtyard. Everything. Like an anchor in the strands of time, a monument-sized time capsule that people past and present could point to and say, "I remember that." The school's sport and culture festival was an annual tradition. All the students from every class would participate. Classrooms would be turned into shops, and dozens of stalls would also be set up in the courtyard. Snacks, toys, games, souvenirs. Even now, she could still visualize the long queue of visitors waiting outside the gate before opening hours. The anticipation, the excitement. How many festivals have come and gone, and how this courtyard has seen them all. Echo continued admiring the shimmering green scenery as the breeze blew and trees rustled. A few students from her class in the morning waved goodbye as they walked past, which she reciprocated in kind. "Echo!" A very familiar voice called out from behind. Echo turned around and standing at the gate was her husband, Wilfred. She strode towards him, almost breaking into a jog, as much as a pencil skirt would allow her to. Wilfred stepped forward with open arms, where they met with a mutual embrace. All this had gotten some of Echo's watching students into a bit of a murmur and a bit of a commotion. As they watched on, the radiant glow in her eyes shone even brighter than it had that morning, which made some of the girls swoon with envy. This was the man who had captured their teacher's heart so. They wondered to themselves if they'd one day meet someone who could make them shine like that. The cuddling couple finally noticed the watching students and waved to them before exiting the gate, strolling arm in arm. "How was your first day of school?" Wilfred asked. "Absolutely wonderful," Echo replied with a familiar, comforting, warm smile. She regaled Wilfred with all the things she reminisced and thought about during the day as they walked along the path, in the radiance and warmth of the afternoon sun. A radiance and warmth much like that of a woman in love.